Yeah, you can line up 4 or 5 of them. I'll smack them all. What's up, bro? Yahweh was different in Canaanite. I've never heard of
Constantine, calm down.
What you have to show me is chronology late enough to be influenced.
Right.
You have to show me dependence, borrowing, and not a parallel development. You have to give me your historical critical method with independent attestation.
Yeah.
Right? You have to give me your core doctrine change and not a vocabulary vernacular nuance.
Dude, I get your point. And when do you think Judaism, as we know it, a religion of monotheism, Judaism, when do you think that we get that information in literature or in archaeology?
Earliest Hebrew literature, which is like pre-monarchic or early monarchic, that's going to be about 1200 to 1000 BC. So early poetic texts and traditions, that's like Exodus 15, Judges 5, things like that, which already assume Yahweh is Israel's God. There's a covenant identity there.
So right now the scholars are telling us that before Judaism, okay,
What scholars?
Scholars, okay. Jonathan Adler, he talks about Judaism being something that comes out of the Hellenistic world.
He doesn't argue that Judaism was invented by Greek philosophy or that Yahweh is a Hellenistic construct. Now, there is an etymology of offices within rabbinical period that is a post-Babylonian effort that goes into the intertestamental period. And yes, synagogeos, and the nominative singular masculine form, would definitely be what assembles together, which was translated later to be ecclesia, of the assembled ones. Okay, so there's just an assembly there. So simply borrowing from language does not predicate by default of synonymous, by synonymity, that there's an origin of theft. What becomes archaeologically visible, mainly in the late Persian and early Hellenistic period, right, around 4 to 200 BC, that's about practice, not about the existence of Yahweh. There's an earlier Hebrew text in Yahweh word go long before Hellenization.
No, dude, there's no Hebrew.
What do you mean, no, dude?
No, what you're saying?
That's the scholar that you just brought up.
Brad, what's up?
Doing alright, Candace, how are you?
Yeah, you can line up 4 or 5 of them. I'll smack them all. What's up, bro? Yahweh was different in Canaanite. I've never heard of
Constantine, calm down.
Not healthy for you.
I'm about to drag you across this panel as soon as I'm done with these other demons, you clown. We can do this because you're actually misquoting the dude that you're bringing up.
I'm trying to get people to understand there was a point Yahweh was polytheistic and there was a point when he was monotheism.
What you're assuming is that there's a scholarly consensus, and I'm just going to steel man your position, that it is just analytically true that the majority of scholarship agrees that Yahweh was a polytheistic framework. The early Israel existed in a polytheistic environment, right? So some Israelites practiced henotheism, or worship of one God among others. Well, what the Hebrew Bible records, this struggle and the polemic. So this is about Israelite practice, not about Yahweh's ontology. So what scholars do not concede to is that Yahweh was originally a lesser pagan god. What they do not concede to is that the monotheism was invented late. What they do not concede to is that Yahweh evolved into the God of classical theism. And what they also do not concede to is that the biblical monotheism is a Greek construct. There is a major scholarly disagreement here, and I can name these scholars. So calling it a consensus is false, and when you say that it was predicated upon Yahweh, which was in a polytheistic framework, that's like saying I've got a dog by the same name and you've got a dog by the same name and calling them the same dog. The name does not bring the attributes, characteristics, values, and ontology with it. So that is inherently false.
Why does what was that?
Calm down.
Why does Josephus say?
Yeah. Are you going to engage with what I said, host?
Dude, what you said?
You just pivoted. Why?
Constantine.
No, because I'm taking the panel.
Get down.